Well, hey everyone, it is great to see you again this morning. We have had a lot going on this morning already. This is day 2 of Summer Leadership 2021. And it has been already a great time hanging out with you yesterday, through all of our amazing sessions yesterday. And then again, this morning, we kicked it off with a discussion with the national leadership from national organizations around the hemophilia community. That was a fantastic time. If you missed that session at 8 a.m. this morning, Central Standard Time, we're going to try to get that recording uploaded on our YouTube channel. So please check out our YouTube channel for more information. But had a great time just being able to talk about a little bit about what the state of the hemophilia community is, the challenges with leadership, and then where we see it going. And really what I loved about that moment was just the unity that was represented in what it means to be able to communicate and collaborate as we work together as organizations to serve people with bleeding disorders all throughout the U.S. So it was a real privilege to do that, and I really appreciate big thanks to Dr. Lynn Valentino, Dr. Sharon Myers, as well as Kim Phelan joining me this morning to discuss where we are with those things. So, man, great insights from that moment. But we've got some amazing things lined up for you today as well. And so I'm so excited. We just got done with one of our first exhibit hall moments with a scavenger hunt, and we've had 3 already. So we've given away over $1,500 in those 3 sessions alone. And so if you want to participate in a scavenger hunt to get involved in that, there's still one more opportunity left this afternoon at 3:30 Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss that if you want to have some fun with us and play a little game, but then also win. We're going to be giving away 2 $250 gift cards, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely come hang out with us for that. But in just a little while, we're going to hear from our friends over at Octapharma talking about time to step up, learning how to lead when you don't know where to start. That's a great session. Talk also after lunch, we're going to be talking about adversity, strength, and resilience in a Zoom session. That's going to be great. The HEROES study from Novo Nordisk, which is really interesting information about how the mental health of our community is really, really important and connected to that. And so they talk about strength in numbers and break down some of that data for us, which is going to be really great. Then that's when we have our scavenger hunt. You don't want to miss that. And then on top of that, we're also going to talk on a session with Julian Borges about leadership through scholarships. This is a great opportunity to talk about education and how to further your education, but also how to take advantage. Look, I have a daughter right now that's getting ready to go to college. I know a lot of you are in college or getting ready to go to college. If you haven't taken advantage of the scholarships that are available throughout the hemophilia community, you need to do that. And this session will give you some direction on how to take advantage of that. We're going to do another live stream a little bit later on this evening around 6:15 on YouTube and on Facebook. And then lastly tonight, one of the great sessions we're going to do is on stress management. And so we're going to have some fun together, but we're also going to talk a little bit about how to really manage that stress. I am super excited about tomorrow morning. Lori Bienvenu, who is our resident counselor at Hope, she actually is a licensed professional counselor. She will be actually talking with us about self-care in the morning. And I think that for some of us, self-care is kind of a dirty word when you're a caregiver. And so that's one of those things we always put ourselves last, right? But we want our leaders to be healthy. We want you to be healthy. And so whether it's that you're caring for your children as a parent, or whether it's that you're caring for others as an employee, or if you are helping to lead the way at your company, those are all things that you want to make certain that you take time for yourself. And we want to break that down, talk a little practically about what that means and what those definitions are. So super excited about that. Make sure you join us back tomorrow morning as well for that session. And then one last session after that we're going to be doing is redefining freedom and setting goals. So this is going to be a great session with Kevin Harris, a dear friend of ours, who's going to be talking a little bit about how to achieve success through setting goals, which I'm super excited about. And then we'll do one more live stream to finish out the weekend, and I'm excited about that, back here on YouTube and on Facebook. So you can come and hang out with us there. Look, I hope you have had a great time. I hope that this has been informative for you, but more importantly, I hope that you've gotten a chance to really feel like you're connecting with other people throughout the community. After all, that's one of the biggest benefits of having these moments together, is being able to actually get to know people. It's It's just harder to do in a virtual world. I'll be honest with you, that's very difficult for us to do, but it is something that we really put a lot of work and energy into. And I think that you will continue to be able to connect with people, especially through the scavenger hunt, because you get to with small groups and that's a fun time. But then also through the breakout sessions, asking questions, engaging with the speakers. This is what's so important about these moments, and we want you to do that. But get in the chat right now. Just tell me right now, where are you from? Where are you watching this video from? Because we want to get to know you a little bit better. If you are one of the few people who've been watching some of this right now on this live stream and you're thinking, man, where is all this other stuff coming from? What's going on in the breakout sessions on Zoom? What is that about? Well, you can go to our website at hope-charities.org right now and you can still register. We've left registration open all weekend so that you can still participate. And you can get the Zoom links by registering. So you have to do that. We do that for people's privacy and make sure that just anybody and everybody doesn't jump on from whatever location that maybe doesn't belong in the room, and it's for your safety and privacy. But you do have to register, and we will send you the links. We'll email them to you. We'll text you the links to make it easy for you. You can jump on from your phone. You can get in on your computer. You can join from your tablet. You could put it up on the YouTube on your TV if you wanted to with your Roku or with your Apple TV, whatever makes it easy for you. We want to make certain that you can join us in those moments like this and others. So make certain that you jump in and get involved, because those are the moments that really count. And we've got some great guests who are about to join me right now to talk a little bit more about leadership from their perspective. And so coming up in just a few moments, I'm going to invite Edgar Martinez from Octapharma to join me to talk a little bit about his experience living with hemophilia, maybe being diagnosed a little bit later in life. I think this is something that we all need to understand, how those pressures really impact how we frame our life and how we think about our success and living successfully with a bleeding disorder. And Edgar's going to do that for us. And then a little bit later on, I've got my friend Seth Price from Paragon. He's going to join me as well and talk a little bit about what it's been like to be living with hemophilia and to choose success in life as a person living with hemophilia. I think that's going to be an impactful time as well. So we also had a great time hanging out with Danny Gokey last night, an award-winning musical artist who really has a tremendous library of songs on hope and inspiration. And as you can tell, that's pretty important to us. So I really loved being able to have that conversation. If you didn't get a chance to hear that, go scroll back down through the videos on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're at, and you should be able to see that general session from last night that would have the interview with Danny Gokey. And it's towards the end, so definitely take a look at that and let us know what you think. But man, that was a great conversation about what it means to be valued and to see yourself with value. You know, one of the things I wanted to talk about this weekend with leadership is that, you know, I think there's a lot of things that people overlook with life, that you just feel like maybe you're pushed and pressured. And it's easy to look at our limitations as being our destiny. But in reality, our limitations can also be the very thing that thrust us forward to begin to overcome difficulties that will empower us to move forward. It's the very concept of lifting weights in the gym, which I'm not very gym oriented, as you can probably see, but I still understand the concept that if you work out a muscle, I've had lots of atrophy in my joints and in my around my joints because of surgeries that I've had through the years. And so you don't want to get atrophy. You want to exercise those muscles. And when you push against that weight, you begin to empower yourself to be able to do more. And so that's what the struggles and the obstacles are in our lives. A lot of times are the things that we can work against in order to build that muscle. And I love how Danny Gokey last night talked about faith. He tied that in as far as what that means to help really see something outside of yourself as a way to be able to understand how to move forward in life and overcome trauma, overcome crisis, as he told his story about his wife passing away and learning how to walk out of that. Really, really powerful. And then also, I think it's important that as we go through this weekend and we talk about these things, that you really take notes. You take a few of these little nuggets out and you stick with it and you write those things down and you remind yourself of those during the hard days. And so, man, thank you so much for just carving out time to spend with us this weekend, because we genuinely do this because we love it and we love you. And no matter where you're watching this from, we really hope that you feel like you've been part of our family this weekend. You've been in our environment. And so one of these days we'll be able to do these things in person again, and I certainly hope that it's sooner than later. But for now, we still want to connect wherever it makes sense, wherever we can. And it's been great seeing some of the faces on the Zoom calls already and engaging and talking and chatting. I've been chatting with so many people. So, man, right now, if you are just in the chat and you're saying, man, I don't know how to get connected, just ask the question, how do I get connected? And I guarantee we'll be right there ready to help answer those questions for you. But look, we're going to get ready right now, and I'm going to get my good friend Edgar Martinez on the phone and talk a little bit about his story. So stay tuned. We're getting ready for some more great interviews.
Hi, I'm Sarah Richmond. I'm your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison. I cover the New England territory, which includes from Rhode Island up to Maine and over to Albany, New York. My favorite hobbies are cycling and running with my dog Cooper. And my favorite thing about the rare bleeding disorder community is just the passion and commitment everyone has, not only for each other, but also to raise awareness. As your HCL, I'm here to provide you any educational resources that you need in regards to rare bleeding disorders. I look forward to connecting and learning more about you. Thanks.
All right, I've got my good friend Edgar Martinez from Florida with me. Edgar, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us for Summer Leadership Weekend.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks a lot. It's my pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be asked to join you guys this weekend. I know you guys do great things, not only in the bleeding disorder communities, but in your local communities and nationwide. And it's truly an honor to be here with you.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Well, a big kudos and appreciation too to Octapharma for really sponsoring this weekend. We truly, I know that sometimes it sounds like a broken record with this stuff, but I mean, it's no joke. We really could not do what we do if it wasn't for, you can have a nice car, but if you don't have fuel in the tank to go anywhere, you are just sitting parked, and it's, it just doesn't get you where you need to go. And so we can have the best heart in the world, but man, if it wasn't for the fuel that you guys continue to be supportive and help us to be able to do what we do, it really empowers us to help as many people as we do. So thank you so much for sponsoring this weekend, and really all the weekends year round. You guys have been faithful to help support us in. So thank you.
Well, like I said, it's truly an honor, and thank you guys for what you do, because we wouldn't be here without you guys. So once again, thank you guys for everything you do.
I appreciate that. Well, look, man, let's dive into this conversation a little bit about leadership. That's what we're talking about really all weekend. And man, I when I think about leadership, I really do think about you and how you've overcome so many things. And it's interesting because I think the difference between living a life of success versus living a life of just average is somebody who has an optimistic perspective. And you have said it yourself many times, but man, we are cut from the same cloth. You are a half glass, half full kind of guy. And that's what I love so much about you. But tell me a little bit before we dive into the meat of that, like, man, where you're located, where you're from, how you're impacted by hemophilia, and what your role is with Octapharma.
Yes, of course. So I currently reside in beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. I grew up outside of Orlando. And my current role with Octapharma is I'm the senior patient educator on the team. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that are joining us today have seen my face before in a meeting somewhere or online. But my role is to help share my experiences with hemophilia and the things that I have learned to overcome with our community members. I am blessed to say that I've been with Octapharma 5 years now. And I am happy to say that I'm part of a wonderful team that we always put the patient's concerns and needs first above everything else. I'm blessed to work for a great company and great leadership at our company, and it's a real privilege to share my experiences with the community as well.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know that I thought your job was to cook us good food. That's kind of what I was, or teach us how to cook. But all the other stuff is great too. That's perfectly said.
Yes, Taco Tuesdays have been fun, and it is really nice to be able to share what my degree is in college with the community. Not only my experiences with hemophilia, but also be able to share during these times of where we're so far away. We don't get to see each other. We don't get to really talk to each other face to face, but to be able to come into people's homes and share what I know, even if it's just a little bit of time about cooking, not even so much about our day-to-day struggles, but just something to get our minds off of life in general. And, I thank you guys for giving me this opportunity, because like I said, without you guys and Hope and the rest of, the non-for-profit world, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So
That's great. Well, tell me a little bit about leadership. I know as we talk about this topic, we all have mentors and people we look up to, and maybe famous people that have given quotes or something. But is there any quotes that you really inspire you about success, living a life of success and leadership?
For sure. I was introduced probably about my high school years to Dr. Eric Thomas. Dr. Eric Thomas is an unconventional leader, motivational speaker. And one of his favorite quotes is, "Thank God it's Monday." And I know everybody's like, why? How is that part of leadership, right? How many of us have woken up on a Monday and just dreaded getting out of work? Or even on a Tuesday, right? If it's a long holiday weekend, whatever your first day of the week is, we get up, we're like, oh, I need some coffee. It's been so, I'm not looking forward to these emails, and I'm not looking forward to going into the office or dealing with anything I have to deal with. But he's taught me to think opposite of that. He's taught me to think about, if you start your week off with on the right foot, glass half full kind of mentality, the rest of your week just is a breeze. And ever since high school, I mean, anything that's ever come my way, whether it's work related, personal, whether it's bleeding disorders related, I kind of have that mentality. Or actually, I really do have that mentality, because if I'm having a bleed and I need to treat right then and there. If I have an issue that, I may need to fix something in the house, we all have honey to-do lists around the home, right? I'm not saying mine gets any shorter, but I try to tackle it as best as I can. And the same thing with work. If you have something to do and it's Monday morning, instead of, maybe gossiping about what your weekend is or chit-chatting, get to work, get your things accomplished, because some of the true greatest leaders of not only our nation, but of the world, they all do the same thing. They get up early, they tackle what they need to tackle, and the rest of the week is just a breeze.
So true and so well said. I know that, getting a fresh start with an optimistic perspective is always a recipe to success. And so you said it really, really well. And I couldn't agree with you more. Tell me a little bit about how hemophilia has played into that recipe for success for you. I mean, what would you say that hemophilia has taught you about being successful in life?
For sure. I was actually diagnosed at a late age. I was not diagnosed at birth due to being born in the United States Virgin Islands. And of course, when I was born in 1985, there wasn't much known about bleeding disorders where I lived. But moving to the States, I played a lot of team sports. I had a lot of injuries. I had a lot of bleeds, and they were diagnosed as growing pains. So when I finally got diagnosed at the age of 10, it was really life-changing. It really was. I had two options I can do in life. I could sit in my room and be the grumpy young kid that can't play baseball anymore, couldn't play basketball, couldn't, go out and play with his friends, or I can just tackle this diagnosis, which for me was a blessing. I don't even call it a diagnosis. It's a blessing that came to my life, and really say, okay, I can let this control me, or I can control it. And to me, I've never really thought of hemophilia as a burden. Yes, is it a burden sometimes when you have an ankle bleed and it's hard to move? Of course. I have two beautiful children at home and a beautiful wife. So one of my priorities in life is to really start every day with making sure I'm taking care of myself, because for me to take care of my family, for me to take care of my girls, I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself first. And that's, waking up, and if it's an infusion day, giving myself an infusion and not making it an excuse. If it's, learning how to braid my daughter's hair, which I just learned, things like that, right? So for me, it's always the glass half full. But when it comes to our bleeding disorders, I feel that a lot of times we can make really bad excuses. We can say, hey, well, hemophilia won't let me do this, or von Willebrand's won't let me do this, or my bleeding disorder won't let me do this. Instead of saying that, why don't we say, hey, there's a challenge. Maybe I can find a way around this. I will find a way around this. Maybe I reach out to somebody. And I'll tell you, one thing that leadership in my community has taught me is actually learning how to reach out to other people, saying I need help, saying that, this is not a path that we walk alone. And I'll tell you that, I may appear as a well put together guy, as I say, but we all have our struggles. We all have our challenges. And being a leader is being able to recognize that, being able to say, you know what, this is one of those I can't do by myself, and being able to reach for help.
Man, that is so, so good. And one of the things that comes to mind while you're saying that is that perspective really can be all the difference in the world. Like sometimes you can be underneath a problem. If you've got your problem here and you're kind of living under here, and you can look up at that problem and be like, man, that problem is so huge and so overwhelming. But if you just started to put yourself in another perspective and you say, no, I can manage this problem. This is something that exists, but it's not over me. It doesn't lord over me. Like that dynamic, just perspective can really make all the difference. And I think it takes an optimistic view, like you've done so well in your life, but it also is sort of a discipline, I think, is what I hear you saying too, is that it's a choice. Like you've got to choose to say, you know what, no, I'm going to have a different perspective. And sometimes that takes humility. Sometimes that takes like us saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to phone a friend on this one because I know I'm not well. Like I know I'm not getting the right perspective. Let me see if I can get some help. And I love that. I love that perspective. I guess kind of the last question that I'd love to know from you is, what advice would you give maybe a younger version of yourself if you could just turn back the clock? Because I know we all have things, like you said, some mistakes and things that we've done that we wish we could maybe undo, but without regret. Like sometimes, like if you could just go back and say, man, if I could do it all over again, this is what I wish I could tell, the 12-year-old version of me or the 10-year-old version of me when I was diagnosed. What would that advice be for you?
Well, so that's always a tough one, right? There's always the saying that if you can go back and do life over again, would you do it differently? And I always say no. For me, if I can go back in time and go back to when I was 9, 10 years old, even a teenager, first learning about my bleeding disorder and dealing with it, I would tell myself just to come forward and be honest from the very beginning of how you're feeling, whether or not you're having a bleed. Because when I was diagnosed, it was a choice. If I have a bleed, I can't go to a friend's house. Or, if it was an infusion day, because I didn't know how to self-infuse, I would have to wait for the nurse to come. So it's just, for me, I would just go back and say, be honest about everything up front, and it makes life a lot easier. It's one of those things that I'm very blessed, and I use that word a lot. And especially if everybody that's seeing this that knows me, I always have a smile on my face. I'm always happy. But just be honest, whether that's in, your bleeding disorders, whether that's in relationships, whether that's at work, whether that's just in life. If you do the right thing, if you're honest, everything will work out the way it's supposed to work out.
That's so good, man. That is so good. And I really think that you hit the nail on the head when you say that sometimes, like, I do believe I can remember as a young child, like thinking about trying to like delay or put off, knowing something was not right in a joint, or trying to hide a limp, from my parents so that I didn't have to get an infusion. And usually it always turned out worse when I wasn't honest with myself. And that's really where it starts, right? Is that you got to be able to, I always say you can only move forward if you fully embrace where you are. And that is really that reality that you got to say, okay, no, I got to be honest with me first, and then I can be honest with, my future And I just think, man, you really hit on something there that is so important to be able to really to speak truth to yourself and to embrace truth so that you really can be better, because none of us could move forward if we didn't have that, right?
For sure. And it's something that it takes time, right? It really does. And I know that you can probably testify to this, like you said, to hiding a joint. To all the young adults listening, just be honest. Just do the right thing all the time, right? If you do the right thing all the time, you never have to worry about anything else. And if, like I said, if I can go back, that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah.
Maybe the winning lottery numbers every once in a while after I turned 18, but
be like the Back to the Future guy where you
that's right.
and you go back, But no, I love that, and I think that it's so good. I always say kind of something along the same lines as you do about it being a blessing. I always say that I have gained far more from hemophilia than what hemophilia has taken from me. And I've had some losses. I mean, there's definitely things that I missed out on. There's definitely things that have been a struggle at times. But man, I absolutely have gained far more from it in my emotional stability, in my disciplines in life. And I've learned lessons that I've watched other people go before me that they didn't learn until they were 65 or 70. And here I am at 20 learning this lesson that really attributes to my consistency, being stabilized, my choices, right choices. Like you said, one thing I had a friend of mine tell me years ago, he says, you got to make the right choices long enough for you to see the results. And that's what happens. A lot of times people make right choices, but they only do it once or twice. And then they give it, this doesn't work, but those are lessons that are just gold. And if you can grab onto that and say, man, this is truth, and I can apply this to my work life. I can apply this to my marriage. I can apply this to my friendships. And then all of a sudden you just can't help but be successful. I mean, people will stand on the sidelines going, man, how did you do it? That was amazing. Right.
Yeah, that's very true. And you hit the nail on the head. It takes time.
Yes.
Changing your habits takes at least 21 days at a minimum. And it's just stick with it, right? Find an accountability partner. And you also have a great point. There's far more blessings with being diagnosed with the bleeding disorders than there are challenges. I wouldn't get to meet blood brothers like you, Jonathan. I wouldn't get to meet these wonderful community members and really have traveled and shared my experiences with every age group and every part of the country. Like you said, there's people that are 65 years old that wouldn't have experienced what we've experienced. And I just look at it as, I can't wait to see everybody again. I can't wait to give them a big hug. And I know we're starting to get there. And I ask everybody to please stay safe until then, but just know that we're one big family, and we're just a Zoom call, a phone call, an email away. Right. So.
That's so true, man. And the weekends like this remind me that we're still family, even though we haven't been in the same room. But I'm like you, I'm ready for one of those big family reunions where we all get together and have a giant group hug. So I look forward to it. But man, there's so many people that are watching right now that have not been involved in the community either. And, we want you to know, we want you to be a part. I know I want you to be a part. I know Edgar wants to meet you in person. So, man, look for these opportunities to get together. When you see the next time that there's an event in your area, maybe it's with your chapter, or maybe it's with another organization, or maybe it's a Hope event, we want you to be a part. We want you to come out and be a part of our family, because like Edgar says, if we didn't see each other in person from time to time, or if we didn't get together on calls like this, we wouldn't really have a lot of relationship. But our lives are so much better because we have those friendships and those relationships in the community. So some of my best friends are people that are in the bleeding disorders community today. And I have a lot of friends outside too, but it is so, so, so vital that you have relationships with people who really understand what you're going through in the hard times. So you can pick up the phone like I do with Edgar and say, hey, today sucks. And he says, all right, man, I totally get it. You don't have to say anymore. I already know.
That's it. And that's all we need sometimes. And you're right. If you see me in future events after this weekend, please come up to me, say hi to me, share your story. I'm here to listen, and I'm here to, provide a resource. And we're all in this together. We really are. So if I challenge you, if you haven't been to a community event in a long time, I challenge you, get in the car, Go to a community event, go to your local event, and really start to network, because like it takes a village, right? It really does take a village, and that's a saying. And in this community, it takes not only a local village, but it takes a global village, right? And the only way to do that is to get out and participate and come say hi. And I look forward to seeing everybody. I really do. And I know you guys can see the smile on my face, because I think of brighter days ahead. So
that's so good, man. Well, it's so great to see you as always. And once again, thanks a whole bunch to you and to Octapharma for sponsoring this Summer Leadership Weekend. I really think that we're going to see a lot of people that are going to get connected, but also people that really have felt like that they were the only ones in this situation, and learning that they're truly not alone. So thanks for helping me not be alone today, and me not be alone in this event with you and with your company. But we really do appreciate you and all that Octapharma has done to help support us through this. So great to see you, and thanks for being here. We'll hopefully talk to you soon.
For sure. Have a great weekend, guys, and see you guys soon.
My name is Marquez Washington. I am the Hemophilia Community Liaison, also referred to as HCL with Novo Nordisk. I cover Southern California and Hawaii. One thing that I admire about the community is the social support. Being part of a community that continues to create programs for education and engagement is so important. I'm so excited to be part of the community, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you. Hope to see you soon.
All right, I've got my good friend Julian Borges here with me from Ethical Factor. Julian, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us for Summer Leadership Weekend.
Oh, man, I'm always happy to be here.
Yeah, it is great to see you. And man, I've been excited about this moment because I get to really talk a lot about people who are successful this weekend and people who are really going above and beyond to just do not just the normal, the mundane, but really more than what than maybe what the average person is able to achieve. And I think you have a great story and a great point of view of how to do that, because you've been through so much, man, living with hemophilia, of course, working in the community. But before we dive into all that, I'd like to just take a minute for maybe this is the first time people are getting to meet you. And I'd love for you to just tell a little bit about, where you're located, how you're impacted by hemophilia, and who you work for and what your role is.
Okay. Yeah. So full name is Julian Borges. I work for Ethical Factor. We are a specialty pharmacy. We kind of focus on the whole patient and making sure that all of the things that surround hemophilia are addressed as well, because there's so much that comes with it. And so that's kind of been the joy that I've brought forth with this job of just helping people to use not only their hemophilia to, get physically where they should be, but also how they can move forward in their lives. So that's always been the kind of driving force and the thing that makes the job enjoyable.
That's great. And you're personally affected as well. I mean, you grew up with having hemophilia, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think a lot of people, it's kind of like, does the fish know that it's in water? When you have hemophilia, it's, you're born with it. You kind of are always dealing with those constraints. So whenever there was a physical constraint, I always redirected that interest to more intellectual matters. So if I was out for school because of a bleed, it was very important to not only do the schoolwork to catch up, but also to use, any of the lie down latent time when you're just like in a bed recouping to kind of expand your mind, to read, to, even online to pursue interests that kind of, expand your world beyond the kind of physical limitations that you have.
Yeah, it's like the old adage says that leaders are readers, right? So in order to really be successful, I think you have to be able to read a lot, and I love that about your background. Tell me a little bit about more about the education side, because I know that was a driving passion for you and determination, really, that you had to sort of fight for to be able to do. But you really pursued a lot of a strong educational background, right?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is I went to Scotland and I got my master's in economics. And it wasn't easy. Even just the visa process was, just something to overcome that I'd never done before. But I think with hemophilia, you really learn how to, play the hand that you're dealt. Genes gave you this, and so you have to work with it and try to make something from that starting point. So when I went and I got my master's, it was difficult figuring out the insurance, the financing of it, but it was in line with so much of what my life had been, which was, to focus on education and, a career that wouldn't be menial labor, breaking my back, but something that I could actually manage. I went over there, had a great time, spent a lot of time in pubs and in the classroom. And when I came back, I wanted to give back. I was so done with papers that would only be read by a professor. So I started working at home care, but it was actually just for elderly people. And they would have insurance questions. They would have finance questions for their healthcare. So they'd come to me. And from that kind of evolved working with patients on insurance issues, which naturally led me into working with Ethical Factor. So the finance does help because you have to have a mindset. It's one thing to care, but you have to actually be able to do something with it. And so I think that's what the education really gave me. The wanting to help people was there, but the ability to help people came from the education.
That's so important, and it's really opened a lot of doors for you as well. You did spend a stint of your early career in the finance industry, as I remember, and we have something in common in that way. And so you did that for a number of years, and then really when the opportunity for you to get involved in the hemophilia community at this perspective, really that door was opened up, but it also had a lot to do with not only your experience, your care, but also your educational background as well, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It doesn't hurt to say I have education. It is a lot of time, and you may regret even having that college major that didn't get you the exact job title that you wanted, but it's still something that you can take with you, and there's transferable skills whenever you do some kind of personal development. One of the things that we were talking about is, factor, taking that daily may seem, or whatever your schedule is, may seem very isolated to specifically hemophilia. However, getting into a routine, ensuring that you're on that routine, making sure that routine works for you, that is something that is a highly transferable skill to your normal everyday life. That is something that will lead you to improve on yourself and become, more of a leader and more of a successful person.
That's so true. I couldn't have said it better. I really think that that's one of the things that we often take for granted living with hemophilia is we learn these little lessons from all of the things that we have to overcome with the bleeding disorder. But really, if we apply those same lessons really to our life in other areas, it really could lead to success all the way around. And so that's really exciting. But I know you guys are actually doing at Ethical Factor a scholarship opportunity. And so I'd love to hear more about that. If people are really wanting to go to school or maybe even go back to school, finish a degree, any of those things, I think that sounds really exciting that you guys are really supportive of that, even as an organization, right?
Yeah, scholarships have always been a great asset in our community. And we haven't had one for a very long time because there were so many else out there that would, go, without any applicants or a lot of times without awardees. So we really got inspired to pursue this when the pandemic hit, and people were just, I think a lot of people questioning their current routine because for the first time that routine stopped or had to be altered. And a lot of people, myself included, looked at their current situation and thought, I could do a little bit better, and I could use this time to, push myself forward. I personally took college classes throughout the pandemic. They were virtual. They kept me entertained and sane while I was at home. And so we want to continue that, because I think people, now that the restrictions are lessening, more people are vaccinated and getting out there, they still want that change in their situation. And so to be able to provide that through hemophilia, the cards that you were dealt, and to be able to play that hand well and to use it to get forward, I think is something that we as a company and me as a person are really interested in helping those with hemophilia use that to further their lives, rather than it just be a hindrance.
That's so true. And so right now, if people are listening to this and going, man, how do I get more information on that? How do they get the more information to be able to apply for that scholarship?
Well, you can definitely find the scholarship on our website, Ethical Factor RX. I'll definitely make sure that you have the link as well to send out. It is a application process. You want to have all of your kind of paperwork, just proof that you have hemophilia. Any academic references or personal references. We do, and I think this is great, have a part where your personal story comes to light, because we wanted to know about that as well, because we are really treating the person. And so this is one of those things that are attributed to your hemophilia. Like I said, my education was spurred because I had hemophilia, so I was laid up in bed. So what was I going to do but read? And so using that hemophilia to move you forward, and that is the narrative section. There are GPA requirements, and that can also be found on the website as well.
Well, that's great. Well, I definitely encourage you to go to the Ethical Factor website and take a look at that scholarship opportunity if you're considering going to school or going back to school. My oldest daughter is going to college in the fall, so I know all too well about the stresses and the financial pressure of doing that. And man, it can be a real burden if you end up graduating with a whole lot of debt. So we encourage you, man, take advantage of these moments and these opportunities and these programs that are out there. This is part of financial assistance that is so important for people living with rare and chronic disease. So Julian, thank you so much for being with us today. And as always, I just want to say a big thank you to Ethical Factor for sponsoring the Summer Leadership Program this weekend. We really, truly could not do what we do if it wasn't for your help and your support. And so thank you so much for all you guys do for the hemophilia community, but also partnering with Hope. It means a lot to us and everyone watching.
Well, like I said at the start, I'm happy to be here, and we're happy to work with you guys and work with the community.
Sounds great. Well, we hope to talk to you soon, and maybe one of these days we'll get back in person, because man, I love these calls, but it's nothing like seeing each other in person. So thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Julian. Hey, listen, if you want to be a part of Julian's session talking about scholarships, that's coming up a little bit later on this evening at 5 o'clock right on Zoom. In order to get the link, if you haven't done so already, you could just go to our website, register there, and we'll send you the link directly to your email or text so that you can just jump right into that session. That's going to be a great session tonight. But before we get there, there's a lot of good things going on throughout the day, and you still want to get those Zoom links to be able to participate, because right now, coming up next, we're going to start a session called Time to Step Up, and it's really about how to take ownership of your own circumstances, how to talk to your doctor, how to get out of your box of maybe transitioning from mom and dad taking care of everything to maybe you taking care of everything. So we want you to join us for that, and it's going to be a great session with our good friends Tabitha McGlinchey from Octapharma, as well as Martina Willis, who's really going to be a great presentation. So you don't want to miss that. After lunch today, we're going to talk about adversity, strength, and resilience from our good friend Jeff McFall, who you heard from yesterday as well. And he's going to be talking a little bit more about how to cope with chronic illness and communicating with your healthcare team and talking about financial considerations. All those things are really important. Right after that, we're going to have Kathy Tiggs, who is a great friend of ours and amazing speaker. She is so engaging and so much fun. She's going to be talking about the HERO study and talking about the strength in numbers. There's a lot of great information in that study that you want to hear about if you haven't heard before. It talks about mental health and all kinds of deep information that talks about where we sit in our community. I think that's really, really important. And look, if you missed out on the opportunity to participate in the scavenger hunt exhibit hall with a chance to win, we are giving away 2 separate $250 gift cards. You can win one of them, and that will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. But in order to participate, you got to register. So make sure you do that on our website. And then, as I mentioned before, Julian will be doing a session on scholarships. I think that's going to be phenomenal at 5 p.m. We'll be right back here live on Facebook and YouTube at 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So come hang out with me at 6 o'clock tonight. We'd love to see you there. We've got a few people to interview that is just going to be very, very interesting. I think you can enjoy that. And then also we've got another session right after that at 7:30 p.m. that's going to be on stress management. I don't know about you, but if you are in leadership of any capacity, whether it's as a parent or at work or in your own personal life, I'm just telling you right now that if you are dealing with leadership at any capacity, stress is something that we all have to learn how to manage. So we've talked some about our session on Saturday coming up on self-care. You don't want to miss that. This is going to be a session on stress management. I think you're going to really need to be able to hear all of that. So anyway, we'll see you back here in just a little while. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Here's a couple more words from our sponsors, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. Get on Zoom right now. We'll see you there.
My name's Heather Barton. I'm your local hemophilia community liaison from Novo Nordisk, and I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. So excited to be joining the hemophilia community. So impressed with what a tight-knit family you all are. And just wanted to let you know that I'm here as a resource for educational materials surrounding rare bleeding disorders, and really can't wait to meet you in person soon. Take care and be well.